little chat about all of the Create a Sim kits for The Sims 4. I made a video like this recently for all of the build kits where I walked through every single one and ranked them. The goal of that being to help you all decide which ones I thought were the most worth the money and had the best and most useful items. The thing is, I care a whole lot more about the build kits than I do about the Create a Sim ones. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know if there's a single Create a Sim kit that I would have bought if I wasn't a Sims YouTuber. I guess I'm just trying to say that I don't really value Create a Sim content as much as I value build content in my Sims game. It's a lot easier for me to justify spending $5 on a kitchen set than like on underwear for my Sims. So basically what I'm trying to say is I am going to rank all of the Create a Sim kits, but I'm gonna be a little bit ruthless with this ranking. I am simply not the target audience for these cast kits. I am way more of a builder. And just as a quick disclaimer, obviously what I think about these packs might be the complete opposite of you. You might way prefer the cast ones over the build ones. You might love the cast pack that I hate. All of the kits are just really niche and they aren't really meant to appeal to everyone. And I'm gonna try and talk about them both from my perspective, but also from what I think they add to the game as a whole for everybody. And with that being said, let's talk about the rankings. We actually only have 10 Create a Sim kits compared to 15 build ones. And for our categories today, at the top we have must have, pretty good, fine, not memorable, and not worth buying. I'm gonna go through all of these kits in order of release and talk about what they come with and whether or not I think they're worth the money, and then place them somewhere here on this tier list. Starting with the first ever kit, the Throwback Fit Kit. So this whole pack has sort of like retro athletic wear vibes. It's got a lot of really fun and vibrant colors going on, and it also has like 2 or 3 things for kids, which is kind of rare because most of the kits don't. I actually do use a couple of these things a lot for my Sims athletic outfits, specifically these shorts and a couple of these tops. There's also a lot of things that I just don't really use that often in this pack. In general, I feel like the Throwback Fit Kit is kind of the perfect example of a fine kit to me. And I do like and use some of those things, but I just have no desire to spend $5 on a couple of athletic tank tops for my Sims. It's cute, it's really not worth the money to me, especially when there's so many other kits that I would buy first instead of this one. The next kit that we got was the Fashion Street Kit, and this one I feel like serves way more of a purpose than the Throwback Fit Kit does. It really has some stunning items. So this whole pack is inspired by Indian fashion, and they actually worked with a real life art and fashion curator from India to help design this pack. And I always say this, but their best work is always when it's collaborative. I think it's really cool to work with a real life designer on a Sims pack because it gives a totally different perspective on what kind of things should be added. This pack unfortunately also just brings up some complicated feelings about selling representation in the game, because on one hand it's really cool to have an entire pack dedicated to Indian fashion, but then at the same time you shouldn't have to pay extra money to achieve that. And that's not really a problem with just this kit, that kind of happens with every single pack. They sort of try to help combat it by adding like 1 or 2 things into the base game and then a whole bunch more into a pack sometimes, but this has always been an issue with hairstyles, with clothing, so it's not like this pack is the first time it's happened. I just think it's important to bring up when we're talking about the kit. There are some really genuinely beautiful pieces in this pack though. I think that this might be one of the prettiest cast items we have in the whole game. It's so interesting to compare the quality of some of the new cast things that we get, because we'll get like a pair of shorts with a belt painted on, but then you look at this and all of these beautiful 3D details. Like, this stuff from this pack is objectively some of the better crafted cast items we've gotten recently. So honestly, I'd rank it pretty highly, all the way up at pretty good. For the most part, these packs don't really have a lot of stuff that's bad in them. It more just comes down to your personal preference and what's useful to you. And Incheon Arrivals is one of my favorite cast kits, maybe even my favorite cast kit. So this one is inspired by Seoul airport fashion. They actually collaborated with someone who won Miss Korea in 2016 to do this kit, so arguably she knows a lot about fashion. There's a couple things that I love the most in this kit, including this skirt, this jacket. I love this cardigan, and also this like sweater dress combo down here. Honestly, I use all these things, the shoes, the pants, all of it, all the time. This is literally the only oversized hoodie we have in the entire game, because most of the hoodies we have are very tight fitting or cropped. This one is like a normal looking hoodie to me, so I use this so often. By far, this is one of my top favorite kits out of all of them, and that's probably because it just fits my personal style a little bit more, but I find myself using those things a lot. And then after that, we got the modern menswear kit, and this one, if I'm being honest, was a massive disappointment to me. I think in general, this was just a lot different than what I was expecting and hoping for. I know I literally just got done saying how good I think collabs are and how nice it is to collab with real designers, but I think this took it a little bit too far. This almost has mosquito stuff energy because it's like a direct recreation of some real life pieces from this designer. So to me, it's all very like runway high fashion and not really everyday wearable. And what I was hoping for from this pack were some like everyday wearable skirts and dresses for masculine framed sims, because as many of us have noticed, a lot of times when you give a masculine framed sim like a dress, for example, in The Sims 4, it just doesn't fit right and it looks kind of weird. And that's because they didn't make any dresses for masculine framed sims. So I was really hoping for some usable dresses, some usable skirts, and instead we got a lot of stuff that I don't really ever use. We did get a couple things, like we have this skirt, which is nice, but you can kind of see what I mean by high fashion with all this stuff. And then like with this, why isn't the skirt and the top separated? Like I wish that I could pair these things together on my own. And maybe this is mean, but to me, this is not cute. I just don't like the pattern on this, and I wish that we had like prettier, nicer dresses. So yes, maybe my expectations come from a misunderstanding, but I do still feel like it's a good criticism of what The Sims 4 is lacking. And I know I'm not the only person who feels this way. I'm actually gonna put this all the way down in not memorable because I really don't ever use like any of those things. It's a shame because we do really need more menswear in the game, and I'd also like to have some more feminine menswear. This pack just didn't really meet the mark for me of what I'd like to see from it. And I hope they don't take that criticism as like a reason to not do another pack like this, because I'd love to see one like this. I just want to see something better like this. Okay, next we have the Carnival streetwear kit. And this one obviously is inspired by Carnival. It's very fun, lots of bright colors and bold patterns. There's sequins and stuff. It does actually come with some makeup and some nail polish, which we don't really get very often in kits. And honestly, The Sims is really bad at making cool, colorful makeup. This, in my opinion, is good colorful makeup. I'm sorry, but we just have so much really, really ugly, bold makeup. But both of the eyeshadows from this kit, I think, are way better done than some of the old stuff that we've gotten. So if you're looking for some kind of fun new makeup looks for your Sims, this is a good option for you. This Pride shirt is also a huge standout to me. There's a lot of really cool cast items. I am fascinated by this top because I'm so impressed by the texture on these gems. And then you compare it to these shorts. This is what I'm talking about by a painted on belt, by the way. You see how this belt is just completely flat? I do not understand this. I will never understand this. They'll go from making these like really cool 3D aspects to certain clothing items and then making this stupid pair of shorts. You shouldn't have added the belt. It should have been just plain white shorts, no belt. I'd rather have no belt than have fake belt. This weird pocket thing looks so strange when there's no texture to it. Maybe if it was just the belt and not the pocket, it would be okay, but it just looks so weird how it's flat like that. This is probably one of the worst clothing things in all of the kits, but otherwise I genuinely do like almost all of these things. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this pack. It's just the shorts. The shorts are the problem. Honestly, I'd put it up pretty high, maybe between fine and pretty good. I think I'll leave it at pretty good. I like this pack. It's got some cool stuff in it. And then next we got the Moonlight chic kit, and this one has some very trendy, like very up-to-date fashion styles. It's inspired by a Parisian creator actually, but to me this one has a lot of stuff that's very similar to the high school years pack. And depending on how you look at that, that can be both a good and a bad thing. Because on one hand, if you've got high school years, that's great. The stuff ties in really nicely together. But also, if you've got high school years, do you need to buy a pack that has very similar clothing? It's definitely not identical. Like they are two different styles, but at a certain point, how many different blazers and cargo pants do we really actually need? So I have kind of complicated feelings about this because I do like it. It's got some of my favorite things. Like, look at how cool this looks with the sequin top. That texture is amazing. This dress is one of my favorite things from the whole pack. Like, look at the back on that. I just think this is beautiful. So for me, I'd honestly class it really high because I like these things a lot, especially out of all the other kits. I just really struggle with recommending that anyone buy any kit ever because I feel like they're so expensive for what they are. It's so hard to justify spending $5 on some clothes for any of these packs. Anyway, after that, we got the first fit kit, and this one is all kids clothing, which is super fun. It's so nice to have more kids stuff because we really don't have that much of it. It's also all very neutral kids clothing, which is nice because a lot of the stuff in The Sims 4 normally is like very bold and bright and a lot. And they actually collab with a simmer, a Sims YouTuber, to make this pack, which is kind of cool. Some of my favorite things are this shirt with a 3D backpack attached to the back. I love this little tucked in shirt. And I also use these sneakers all the time. Like almost all of my Sims wear them. I just want to show you this backpack in game to give you more of an idea of how offensive those shorts were. Like, why is this backpack and this top so cool and so 3D? And then those shorts were just a painted on belt. Even the straps of the backpack are three-dimensional here. So I really don't understand the quality control on some of these items. Of all the kits though, I'd probably recommend this one up at the top too, just because kids stuff is probably the most worthwhile to me. Kids typically get the least number of new items in new packs, so it's always nice to have more kids stuff. So if you're looking to get a lot of kids clothing all at once, it's a lot easier to buy like a $5 kids kit than to buy a stuff pack that maybe has a couple kids things in it. Maybe I'm being too nice right now because I haven't put anything at not worth buying, and I would also at the same time almost argue that all of these things are not worth buying. They're worth buying for a very specific person. They all have a target audience. And then after that, we got the Simtimates collection kit. And this one, as you can see, is an underwear pack. It's like underwear and sleepwear almost. They literally say here that your Sims will put the woo in woohoo. This pack, by the way, was literally a collab with MeUndies. Like that underwear brand that used to sponsor all the YouTuber podcasts. They collabed with MeUndies to make this pack. And I know I just got done saying how fun I think collabs are, but that is a very strange crossover to me. It's cute though. There's like eggplant underwear and pizza underwear. I really like this outfit with the shirt over the underwear. I think that's kind of cute, and I use this thing a fair amount too. And while I do like some of the stuff in this pack, I think for me, I just don't really find this very usable. I don't really ever have my Sims walk around in their underwear, and maybe that's just my own lifestyle coming out because I sleep in like a giant baggy t-shirt. I would never sleep in a bra. I don't even wear a bra half the time. So I just don't really get a lot of use out of this. When it came out, I was trying to justify like, oh, maybe we could use the top as like swimwear somehow, but then we got a swimwear pack. So this is just kind of useless to me. And you might have a totally opposite perspective on this, but for me, I just kind of don't see this pack as worth buying. This is probably the one that I'd be the least likely to buy if I wasn't a YouTuber. Again, probably wouldn't buy any if I wasn't a YouTuber, but this one I almost definitely wouldn't buy. All right, next we got the Grunge Revival Kit. And this one, I think a lot of people were really excited about. There are a couple things that are massive standouts to me here. Number one, there's a scrunchy bracelet. That is by far my most used thing out of the entire pack. There's also an oversized hoodie and an oversized t-shirt in this pack, and we don't have a lot of things like that, so I always like them. It got some kind of cool chipped nail polish too, and we don't have any chipped nail polish, so that was kind of a fun feature. But otherwise, I feel like for the most part, a lot of this clothing is almost stuff that we already have. This stuff all looks very similar to a lot of the things that come in the werewolves pack. And again, maybe that's a good thing because you compare the werewolf stuff with this pack. This is the werewolf stuff, and I don't know if you can tell, but it sort of has similar vibes. I'd argue I like the Grunge Revival things a lot better. Like I'm a lot more likely to use these items. But to me, it's just not stand out different enough from a lot of the things that we already have for me to feel like, oh my god, I need that pack. And it is cute, don't get me wrong, I do like these things. It's just not really a standout to me. And maybe that's also my personal real life style coming out again, but I sort of feel like it's not memorable to me. It's sort of in between fine and not memorable in my mind. And then last, we have the most recent kit, the poolside splash kit, and I just know this video is gonna date itself very quickly because they release kits so often, but as of recording this, it is the last kit. And this one obviously is a swimwear pack. It's all swimsuit stuff. I feel kind of like a liar when I talk about this pack because I literally made a whole video talking about how, oh, I don't want an underwear pack. I'd rather have a swimsuit pack. And then we got a swimsuit pack and I was like, oh, I don't really care about this that much. It's weird because I like these things. It's nice. It's fun to have more swimsuits. There's some really cute, like fun patterns like the flamingos and the gnomes. I like how a lot of the things are mix and matchable. Like you can pair the different tops with different bottoms and they all kind of match each other. I also like how there's stuff for a lot of age groups. There's things for kids and for adults. And I really do like these things. There's some beautiful swimsuits in here. One of the biggest problems I think is this item. There's like this weird floaty thing going on and they just can't really do 3D floaties in the game. It's obviously not an actual item, so it has no functional gameplay. When they're swimming, it's under the water. And a lot of times it clips into Sim's arms. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's clipping into her arms right here. So to me, this was kind of like a fun in theory sort of situation, but perhaps perhaps really, really bad in practice because it just doesn't work. I'd rather they had not done this because it just is bad. I do like the stuff though, like honestly, I do like it. And swimwear is one of those things that we don't really have that many cute options from yet. I feel like just in general, there's not really a ton of swimwear options, and most of it I've already used a million times. I also appreciate the variety in like shorts and bikini bottoms, so there's some good options there. I don't know, if you really like pools, maybe this pack is worth it for you, but I'd probably put it up just at fine. It's sort of similar to the Throwback Fit Kit, where like Throwback Fit Kit is very much just athletic wear, and this one is very much just swimwear. And that's not really a bad thing. It's just like I care less about swimwear and athletic wear than I do about stuff that I can use for like all of the other outfits. Because all these other things have like stuff that could be party wear, it could be formal wear, it could be everyday. It kind of is more versatile. I don't know. This is sort of how I'm feeling about all of the Create a Sim kits though, so hopefully this is helpful to you. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, because what I think might be the absolute opposite of what you think. Obviously, your preferences and your fashion styles come first. My least favorite pack could very easily be your favorite pack. I don't really think that any of these are bad. I think they all have very similar amounts of content. They all have some really big hits and some kind of misses, like those shorts I showed you. So there's not really one kit here that's like objectively worse than all of the others. This sort of thing is way more subjective than most of the other Sims packs are. Like when I do a tier ranking of stuff packs, for example, there is objectively a worst stuff pack, and then you compare it to like Paranormal or Home Chef Hustle, the most recent stuff packs, and those have like 4 times the amount of content. None of the kits have a drastic difference in size or in quality. It really comes down to just your personal preference. If I were to make a recommendation to you, I would probably buy a build kit over a Create a Sim kit. I know it's double the price, but to be honest, I'd probably recommend that you buy like the Home Chef Hustle stuff pack or the Paranormal stuff pack over a kit. The $10 gets you clothing and build mode and gameplay, whereas the kits just have one thing. The $10 for a stuff pack gets you triple the amount of content of what one kit will come with. And I think having more gameplay is oftentimes a lot more valuable than having more style stuff. And if you're lucky enough to be playing on PC and have access to custom content, honestly, there's a lot of really good CC out there that maybe could fill this void for you. You might not get like the exact items, obviously, but the CC creators out there make some really, really good stuff. So if you want like more kids clothing, for example, you can find that online for free, made by other Sims players. If you're playing on console, I'm so sorry because there's no mods on console, so we can't get CC over there. But mods and custom content for a lot of you might be a great option. Yeah, my final thoughts are kind of just that I don't really care about Create a Sim stuff. The more I talk about this, the more I'm like, yeah, I could do without every single one of these kits. I'm just not a cast player. I way prefer build mode, so this stuff just isn't that worth it to me. But again, you could be the opposite. You might use The Sims like a dress-up simulator and you hate building. And if that's the case, then I'm really sorry because this probably was not so helpful to you. But anyway, I think on that note, I'm gonna wrap the video up right here. I will link that build kit video down below and on the end screen for you if you want to go back and watch that and see my thoughts on the build packs. And in the past, I have ranked all the stuff packs and the game packs and the expansion packs, so I can link those for you soon too. Probably due for an updated video on the expansion packs at least, but we have not gotten a single new game pack since the last video I made, so there's no need to update that one. And I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye everybody. I have spent so many hours thinking about kits in the past few days while recording these things. I've never thought about kits this much in my life, and my final thoughts are just that I don't care about them for the most part.